Okay. Welcome, everybody, to April's town hall. Actually, one of two town halls for April, and we'll get to that in just a moment. I'm Sherry Simarusti. I'm the Associate Executive Director of Angel Flight West, and I lead the mission operations team and the volunteer services team. So I'd like to show you who the team is. We have mission coordinators, Natalie Peters, Maddie Eichten, and Rochelle Matterall. And for those of you that have been around a little bit, you may have noticed that Rochelle was a volunteer services coordinator. We do need to update this. Sorry, Jess, I should have done that earlier. Rochelle has moved into mission operations and will be a mission coordinator. And we just hired a new volunteer services coordinator to work along David. He will be starting on Monday the 7th. And then our operations manager, Alejandro, and our volunteer coordinator, David.
And oh, go ahead,
Go,
Sherry.
Jess. I'm going to toss to Jess.
Sorry, everyone. I'm Jess. I'm our communications manager. First of all, thank you for joining and happy Volunteer Appreciation Month. We're so excited to celebrate our volunteers year round, but this month especially for Volunteer Appreciation Month. So whether you've been a volunteer with us or are looking to join, we truly appreciate everything you do. It just makes an incredible difference. We do want to invite you to our next town hall, which takes place April 16th. This is our volunteer appreciation town hall, and it is always such a big hit. We love hearing your stories. We're inviting you to attend, even if you don't want to share out, but we would love for you to share a short statement about why you fly with Angel Flight West, or even a 1 to 2 minute story about a meaningful interaction you've had. So that takes place April 16th at 12:30 Pacific time. And it is again on Zoom. So hopefully you can make it. But Sherry's going to drop the registration link in the chat. If you do want to share, just let us know in advance so we can get you into the schedule. You can email townhall@angelflightwest.org. But we would love to see you there. And again, we're so excited to celebrate you this month and are so appreciative of everything that you do. We're also asking that you share your Angel Flight West story this month. Whether you've just gotten involved with us or have flown missions with us, this is just a great month to share about why you fly with Angel Flight West. And we do have some graphics for you to share in our toolkit. Again, Sherry's going to drop that into the chat, and we can also email this out after the town hall. But that link is angelflightwest.org/volunteer-toolkit. And it's just a place where you can grab some of those graphics. But again, we encourage you to share those mission photos too and to share your authentic story. So again, thank you for all you do.
And those are in the chat now.
Thank you, Sherry.
Next up is a mission moment. We call it our mission moment because it captures why we do what we do. So Kerry, who is going to speak to us tonight and is in this video, is going to get to kind of some of the nuts and bolts. But we want to remind everybody about the heart of this organization and why we do what we do. This video is with Kerry, our speaker, and Adam Robb, and flying patient Margot, who is being transported for cancer. So 2 minutes, we'd like to show this to you.
Will you give me a thumbs up, Sherry, to make sure that everyone can hear this? Thank you.
I will.
The country flying to the Valley to receive specialized cancer treatments. Steve Nielsen has the story of the pilots in our state who volunteer their planes to pick up patients out of state and bring them here for care.
Like old friends.
How's it going?
Good, good. Margot's flown on Kerry's plane plenty of times.
I called and it was actually, I was amazed at how easy it was.
She's not alone. Kerry and dozens of other pilots volunteer their planes around the clock to get patients where they need to go. It's all part of Angel Flight West.
It's very heartwarming for us to see how incredibly grateful these people are.
If I have more passengers, we have 2 seats in the back.
Adam is trying to get hours in the air to become a commercial pilot, so why not volunteer his time in the sky?
Much rather spend the time with amazing people, learning their stories, giving back to the community, and doing something more meaningful with it.
Margot was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2022. The El Paso resident wanted to get care at Banner MD Anderson Cancer Center in the Valley, but needed transportation. So whenever she has appointments, someone with Angel Flight West picks her up and brings her here.
Angel Flight has been huge for my experience, my journey with my family. I have 4 kids. they don't want mom gone any longer than she needs to be. So it was a huge blessing, and has been a huge blessing for my family since the beginning.
It has quickly transformed into something that I'm truly deeply passionate about and just care so much about.
Those conversations inside the planes can be so important too.
There's a lot of camaraderie and a lot of things that we share and talk about. And they really do feel, it's ironic it's called Angel Flight, because I really do feel like they're my angels.
Step on up and enter on in.
An incredible way to volunteer, donating their skill, their plane, their fuel, all to make sure someone who was once a stranger doesn't have to worry about one more thing.
They're so giving, and it's just makes that part of treatment and that part of your journey so much easier.
Steve Nielsen, Fox 10 News.
And with that, I'd like to introduce Kerry MacPherson, who is one of our command pilots, and is going to talk to you what it's like to fly missions.
Okay, I even unmuted myself. Would you imagine that? Well, good evening, everybody. It's a honor to be able to talk to you, give you a little bit of my background and how Angel Flight West, how I got going with it. If it helps make it easier for you, that'd be awesome. But basically, so I'm based in Mesa, Arizona, out of Falcon Field. I fly a 69 Beechcraft Bonanza V35A. I've had since 2019, so I'm the next caretaker of it. Just over 2,700 hours. I'm a late bloomer. I started flying after I retired in 2011. So passed my check ride in July of 2012, and I'm up to where I'm flying almost 300 hours a year now because I got to get it in. I'm almost 70, so got to get it done, you know. Done 11 missions so far. Yeah, I've actually had to cancel 9 others, and I'll talk about that a little bit as we go. And we can go to the next slide. That pretty much covers that. All right, how come? Why do we volunteer? Well, if you're doing this, you pretty much know. We want to help out other people. It's great because it helps you stay proficient, right? You need to fly. What a great reason to go flying. Get to go see places you may not have thought of before when you see all the different airports you can go to. You're making a huge difference in other people's lives. Not only the person that you're flying, but their family and other people too. It makes a huge thing. Like Margot had said, you know, for her kids and stuff, for her not to be gone that long, we make that possible. And we make it to where they're not having to deal with major airports. You can go in and get closer to home, shorter times there, no security stuff to deal with, things like that. So I call it the win-win, right? I get to go fly, I get to help somebody, and it does come off the taxes, so not too bad. Good, next slide there, please. All right, my first mission. There's Margot in the back. This is the first time I flew the Angel Flight West. Gentleman next to me, Jim Hessman. He is also a pilot, and he had not flown a mission yet, so he went with me as a mission assistant. And that's, we'll talk about that. That's a way to get going. If you're a little nervous about it, sign up, be a mission assistant for somebody, or bring one with you, that kind of thing. So that was my first one with Margot. And next slide. So let's talk about your first mission, right? Angel Flight West coordinators are a huge help. All the time they're a huge help. They can't, my kudos to them, because they really do make it a lot easier for us. If you've got any questions at all, give them a call. They'll help you through it, what you have to do. You sign up, fly, or volunteer, like I said, as a mission assistant. Ask for the mission assistant if you've got room in your aircraft to be able to handle that. And then stay well within your comfort zone. You know, take an airport, you know, go somewhere you know that you've been to before. When you're looking at these flights, be aware the destination airport can change. I fly the Phoenix area. We'll have the flights that are coming out of Deer Valley or Scottsdale, Goodyear, and you can request, like for me, I'm out of Falcon now. I used to be out of Deer Valley, but I would just put in and ask to go out of Deer Valley or go out of Falcon where my plane is, so I don't have to make that short trip around town here and deal with all the airspace. And it was always really easy. I never had where somebody couldn't do it and the people were totally fine with it. That was my biggest concern. Changing an airport. Oh, what is that going to do to the passengers? They don't care. They just love that we're doing this for them. So they'll make it work. And if for some reason it can't, you'll know. And then you deal with it. But just know you can make those changes when you're signing up. Look at a flight that's not going to, that's something very comfortable for you in duration, somewhere you can get to with your aircraft. My first flight was almost to El Paso from Phoenix, but it's still just under 2 hours in my airplane, so not a big deal. I think it's a really good idea to pick a passenger who's flown before. They're going to have an idea what's going on. There's not going to be big surprises to them. It takes one less thing off your back as far as what you're going to tell these people when you're first meeting them. And then look for good weather, obviously. I kind of look for that all the time anyway, but just make it so that it's I kind of look at it the same way as I did when I was flying cadets with Civil Air Patrol. I didn't want to go up on a rough day and stuff with them. We want to make it enjoyable. So they've got enough things going on. Make sure you have good weather. Okay, next slide, please. All right, how we continue preparing here. You get your mission. You're going to contact the passenger, and you want to review the trip details with them. So you want to verify a pickup location, where they're going to, date and time. This is all going to go on. Let them know how long the flight's going to be, in your aircraft. What's ground transport going to be? Do you need to deal with that at all? I've actually done ground transport for my flights at times when it just worked out. I was going right by where they needed to. So I did both on those. And if they have any concerns, is it their first flight? Do they have any special needs? And then, during the flight, any concerns they might have. Okay, next slide. Confirm baggage and medical equipment for the flight. If they have anything special, you want to make sure they understand weight limits and the sizes of things. Like I said, you can get a walker in there, but you may not be able to get a wheelchair into your aircraft. So you need to know the limitations on your aircraft. And then confirm the passenger contact information, email, phone, things like that. So this is what I do. I have this saved, and I'll send this out as my initial email. As soon as I get confirmation I have a flight, I get on, because you'll have the information on their email and their cell phone and things like that. So I will get on and send out this generic message to them where I just say, hello, my name is Kerry MacPherson, Angel Flight West command pilot for your flight from X to Z on whatever date. I fly out of Falcon Field in Mesa, Arizona, and I plan to arrive if I'm going to go to an airport to pick them up, at airport at what time. And I'd like to be in the air by what time I want to be in the air. And this is, sometimes I've done some flights where it was going to be getting back towards dark, and I don't fly in the dark in the mountains around here. So I'll always let them know, hey, I need time to complete the flight and return back home before sunset. So, and the flight will take about so many hours. And then I tell them I fly the V-35 Bonanza, attached photo for your reference, that's the photo there that I send out so they can see what they're going to be in. This is a low wing aircraft, requires you to step up on the wing to make access. I have a step stool to assist stepping up. Please let me know if this provides any problems for you. That way, if they can't do that, if their mobility is limited, we know ahead of time and they can look for something else. Some airplanes are easier to get into than this one. So, then please let me know if you have any issues with the plan. Make sure that the timing and everything that I've looked at is going to work for them and that they've received this email. I'd like to know that they received it, because there are some times where email companies it doesn't get through for whatever reason, and I'd like to know ahead of time. And then regards, Kerry, I give them my cell phone number. Okay, next slide, please. So then stay in contact with the passenger, coordinate with the Earth Angel too. That way everybody's in line. If there's somebody who's taking care of the ground transport for them, you want to make sure that whatever changes or whatever plans you have works for them also. So you want to make sure they're in the loop. A week ahead, reach out to confirm you've got the flight. that you're still doing it. There's no issues. I've actually had it where I've reached out to confirm a flight and been told that, oh, I no longer need the flight. So now I know, and I can let other people know that's not even needed. But this way, they also are confirmed that you're coming to do the flight form still. And start watching the weather. I actually start out longer than a week, but you really want to start watching that and be prepared in case there's any potential issues where you might have to cancel because of weather. That's really huge. The more heads up on that kind of thing, people can prepare and be having something in the background. Okay. Then see, no less than 24 hours. Again, review weather. We all know that weather's huge. Confirm no NOTAMs. Pre-flight the plane if you can. That way you don't have any. You're pretty secure that when you walk up to your plane the next day, it's ready to go. Contact the FBO that you're going to be utilizing. Make sure that there's nothing going on at the airport that's popped up that might prevent you from being able to get in there. And then also confirm to them that you're coming in. They like to know you're coming and they can be ready for you type thing. And then confirm with the passengers again. Okay. Day of the trip. Try and be early. If I'm going to fly in and pick somebody up somewhere, which I've had a lot of flights that don't start at my airport, they start somewhere else. I like to be there an hour ahead, so when I land, I can get fuel. The fuel. Okay, canceling. The passengers, they understand they need a backup. This is, everybody's very aware of that. Again, this is where Angel Flight West coordinators are really helpful in this process. If it looks like something's going to be canceled or you have to cancel, get a hold of them right away and they can start working everything, including getting a commercial flight if it comes down to that. It's just, you don't have to worry about that stuff. You drop it off to them, let them know, and they'll run through the stuff. And it's, again, better sooner than later. If it's looking iffy on weather or something like that, be heads up big time for that stuff so that they can get things rolling. Very seldom has it been, if it's looking iffy, that the weather's been okay to go. And it's better that they have something secure rather than, a maybe. And then when you get done with the trip, file your report. You can either go back online and onto there to get the information to fill out the report, or you will get an email the day of your flight that has a link in there to do your report, which makes it really easy. And then do a self-assessment. Every time we fly, we need to assess our flight, right? See what we could do better next time, or remember the things that you've done that worked out really well, and make a note of it so that you can use it for your next flight. Okay, next one. Some tips. Here we go. Communicate, right? Communication's everything. Email, text, or phone if preferred. I initiate that email that we looked at earlier as soon as I know that I have a flight. And then I like to do updates via text message group and to include the Earth Angel. And it works out. That seems to work out really well. The passenger briefing, the weather turbulence, the duration, the route. The route, I don't remember if I mentioned this already or not, but I like letting them know the route, and that if there's something along the route to see, that if they want to take a little detour and it's okay by me, it's okay by them, then I'll do it. I had my flight from Durango where I was going Durango to Phoenix, and right along that route within 15 minutes is the Meteor Crater and area Grand Falls, which I'll also called Chocolate Falls. And passengers had never seen it, and they said they'd be willing to go the extra 15 minutes. I'm willing to go because I like to fly, right? So we were able to do that. And when I got down on the ground with them, the passenger, she mentioned that it was so nice to do that because she didn't think a thing about why she was going to Phoenix while we were on that flight. So just kind of another way to help out. And it made something that they never would have been able to see. So kind of a neat thing to do. Sterile cockpit. I'm big on, letting people know, hey, if you see my hand go up in a fist in the air, conversation stops because I've heard something or I need to do something. And you're briefing that kind of stuff just makes it simple, so you don't have to try to do it in the air. It's really no different than anybody we fly, right? You have to do a good briefing so that they know what's going on, how to use the headphones. If you're going to have to use O2, where the O2 is, how to use it, the safety equipment you have on board, how to get out of the plane, how to open the door. My aircraft, the back windows actually become emergency exits, so they want to know how to be able to do that. So talking about all that kind of thing. And then the passenger comfort items. Definitely have tissues, definitely have sick bags, blankets, extra blankets, step stools, whatever you think you might need. I actually have, one of my favorite passengers, favorite most often, is my mother-in-law. She's 94 years old. She climbs up in my airplane, no problem. The stool hops up there. We've got a whole system. But to get out, she came up with this idea. It's great. We use a yoga mat that's rolled up. We stop, open the door. I put the mat out. It rolls down. She gets out, and then she just slides down the mat and steps up and goes. So just have things to do that'll help people get out easy. That's the way she doesn't have to stand up, or you can be safer rather than trying to walk down the wing. Okay, next. More tips. FBO. A lot of the FBOs offer fee waivers. Some offer fuel discounts. I always call ahead. Call the FBO that you're going to go into, or whichever way where you're going to use them. Call ahead, and check with them and see what the status is going in there. If they do give any discounts or what their fees are. I just ask them what their fees are and everything else. And most of them waive their ground fees, and some of them have a fuel discount. So they try to be supportive also. They're doing their thing, which is awesome. Have the itinerary saved and printed up that you have for your flight, because some of them need that in order to give you the discount. So if you have it when you get there, that just makes life easier. The call signs. You've got an Angel Flight call sign that's issued to you when you join up. Nice to use. Depending on where you're going, you could get a little bit of special treatment from air traffic control. Doesn't guarantee it by any means, but they know that you're doing something special. You need to know that in order to use that call sign, you have to have a transponder that you can set with the call sign in there, because it has to match whatever you call ATC with. It has to match your transponder. And there's a report. If you don't do that, there is a report that goes out, and there becomes a problem. At Angel Flight West would actually get in trouble with enough of those things going on, because it's a mismatch between your transponder and your call. Don't be afraid to use it. It's a great thing. I will admit, the first couple of times you use it, you're going to find yourself going Angel Flight 7160, and then going Bonanza 92. Oh no, Angel Flight 7160. I'm using the wrong thing, but it's nice to do. It lets them know that you're out there, and it could be helpful at times. Remember to change back on your transponder when you get done with the flight, so that you're back to your N number. And you can only use it when you got the passengers or items on board the flight, not your repositioning flight. You can't use it for that. So it's only when you're actually in the process of. Okay, next slide. And this is why we fly it. Those are some of my passengers, and they are all smiling. They're all very appreciative and loving it. So that's it right there. You can't beat it. I think that's it. Anybody, any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Kerry. We've got one question in the chat. Let's talk that one. So Luke says, for a multi-leg mission, if both legs have not been filled, I'm assuming reach out to the passenger is not yet appropriate. Looks like you've got a flight on the 11th. I mean, I would say to that one, if you are the first leg pilot, you could go ahead and reach out to the passenger. Just let them know that the team is still working on looking for somebody for the second leg, and that you'll be in touch. If you are the second leg pilot and the first leg's not covered, I would suggest you wait and hold off, because that first leg pilot is generally the one that makes the communication.
I'm going to throw something in there too, just a reminder. If you have a multi-leg mission and you feel like taking the whole thing, and nobody else is taking it, you can always do that and fly the whole thing. And then you can also look at that. If you take the whole thing, then you can change the mission legs too, to make it, if you make it more convenient.
Yeah, good point. Thank you. If you have a question, you can raise your hand, literally raise your hand. Although if you have your camera off, we won't see it. You can use that little tool where you raise your hand, or you can just unmute yourself and speak up. Generally, this means that Kerry was so thorough that not one person has a question.
I have a question. Can you talk a little bit more about what it means if you have to cancel a flight for weather or other reasons? Like what happens to the folks who need that transportation, and how do we take care of them?
Well, from the pilot standpoint, once you've canceled and you notify Angel Flight West, you're done. And then they get involved in coming up with alternate means of transportation, including, commercial airlines. I've had several of them and I always tend to find out because I'm concerned about it, but they have the setup, or they'll figure out the passengers themselves. I've had people that have then set back to where they drove. They actually had it set up to drive. So as a pilot for the mission, your job is to determine if it's going to be safe for you to fly in your plane. And if it's not, or something else comes up, you cancel it, and then it drops back to Angel Flight West. Would you agree, Sherry?
I would. So we generally have spoken to the passengers in advance to know what their backup plan is. And some do have a backup plan. They are going to drive. Some, may have funds to fly commercially once or twice, but don't have the funds to fly commercially 6 times a year, whatever it might be. So if they don't have their own backup plan, cannot get themselves to and from treatment, then Angel Flight steps in. We have some airline partnerships. The obvious one, the big one that most of you have heard of, is our relationship with Alaska Airlines, but we also have a relationship with JSX. If you're in Hawaii, we have a relationship with Mokulele. Here in California, Advanced Air. So all of those folks help us. And then we have what is called our Dr. Randy Sherman All Access Fund. So Dr. Sherman was a former board member who was killed a couple of years ago in a plane crash. And since that time, his colleagues, his family, and friends have created a fund. That money goes into a pool on which we use to buy commercial tickets. Now, obviously, that's not an unlimited fund, so we have to use it cautiously, but that is what we do. And then occasionally a pilot will step in and offer to buy a commercial ticket if they're having to cancel. So it just depends, but we do our very best to make sure that everybody is covered. And if we've gotten them to treatment, we will get them home. We've done some crazy things for our passengers, some trains to buses to long lift rides to all sorts of things. So we won't leave them stranded.
And I saw a question shoot by there. I didn't cover this, is on the multi-mission legs, just real quickly. It is important for the pilots to coordinate together. And you'll notice there's basically a chat that's attached to the online when you go into the mission, and you can get in there, and that goes out to all the parties, the ground, air, whoever will get notification of anything that's within there. So then I make direct contact with whoever the other pilot is, and then the verified timing of that you're going to arrive, that they need you there, things like that might affect them too. So there is a coordination between the pilots as you go.
Great. There's some other questions in the chat. Do you need your private pilot to be a mission assistant? No, you do not. Anybody can be a mission assistant. Tom Rodabaugh, all my stat team is not here. think we have about 900 active command pilots right now. Jess, do you happen to know off the top of your head? I know you.
Yeah, I think, well, in terms of someone who flew at least one mission, if that's the more of the question, we had a close to 700 fly at least one mission last year.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, Earth Angels too. I mean, the numbers go up. So
Let's see. Kerry, did you answer the IFR question? If you did, I missed it.
I didn't see it.
Do you fly IFR even in VFR conditions, or do you opt for flight following?
I do both, depending on what it is. I like IFR a lot because then you're part of the system, and especially coming into a busy area, you don't get kicked out of the flight following that they can do if they're too busy. So I do both. If you're IFR, I mean, why not file it? It makes it easy. I've had some where I'll file VFR just because I don't want to have to go to the altitudes it would require for the IFR mission part. But I do both. I do along those lines. I file if I'm doing VFR, I file a VFR flight plan. I activate the VFR flight plan, and I do flight following, so that no matter what, there's somebody who's going to come looking for us if there's a reason. So that's from 10 years of Civil Air Patrol and 31 years of the fire department looking out for stuff. So yeah, you don't want to leave anything to chance. It's too easy to do all the good stuff. And I did see one other thing pass by that was mentioned. You do want to make sure you have an ID for Angel Flight West. You should have with you. Sometimes that's what it takes to get the discounts also. And then, it's nice to have the shirts and stuff to just look, makes people know that you are who you are.
By the way, on that point, if you ever encounter an airport where they do not waive the ramp fee for you, or a city doesn't waive the landing fee, please let us know. Not everybody gives a discount, but pretty much all the airports across our region do waive the ramp fees at the FBOs, and the cities. Fresno now has a city landing fee. They are waiving them for Angel Flight. Torrance, I think, now does. Santa Monica's had one for a long time. Oakland has one. They all get waived. So if you come across any of those where they're not waiving, please let us know. I can't promise you 100% that we can change their minds, but in most cases they will do that. It's their, it's the FBOs and the city airports. It's their way of being able to contribute a little bit to the mission of Angel Flight, and most of them do it willingly. Luke Spalding, you can be a mission assistant. You don't have to be 18, other than we would need your parents' permission. So we'd have to have them sign the waiver for you. David, your question about baggage and other pilots is a great one. If you're the first leg pilot and you're doing a multi-leg mission, it's a great idea to ask about the baggage and make sure you communicate that to the second leg pilot who may not speak to the passenger. So just, a reminder, if you're leg one and you're in that Pilatus and you're meeting somebody at the second leg in a 172, that could be an issue. And the same holds true, by the way, for outbound missions. So if it's a one-leg mission and you're doing the outbound flight and you have a larger plane, more capability, and you say, sure, go ahead and bring that baggage, remember that could be an issue on the return flight. Peter, do private pilot holders accumulate flight hours as a mission specialist? If you mean as a mission assistant, I don't think that you do. I guess somebody here, I guess if the command pilot was a flight instructor, yeah, the answer is no. You would not. And Steve Lewis. Oh, yeah, I did see that question earlier, Steve. I'm so sorry I didn't get it. So can you clarify what you mean about phone calls before and after the flight?
I can unmute myself. Um, Phone calls before the flight are going to be to coordinate with the passenger. And that's, like I said, I do mine by text message. I don't actually do phone calls on that. Um, After the flight, there really aren't any phone calls to make. There's a report you do online, but there's not a phone call to be made. So if that answers the question.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Are there
I
calls to
see.
AFW departing and arriving? No.
Nope.
We do not need those phone calls. Back in the old days when we had a very few flights, it probably was fun to talk to the pilots, but we've got too many missions now, which is a good thing. Anybody else? Luke, what state, what wing are you in, Luke? And I will have David connect you with the wing leader there. So, okay, we will connect you with the wing leader. Jess, will you write that down for me? Thank you. A reminder, April 16th is our next town hall. We normally don't have two in a month, but it is the Volunteer Appreciation Month, and we want to celebrate that by sharing stories about why we appreciate you. So the staff will be sharing some stories. We have at least one patient and maybe more who will be sharing stories, and we'd love to hear from you. So early on in the chat, I put those links in, and I can do that again right now so that you've got them. The link to sign up for the April 16th one, and that one is at 12:30 in the afternoon. There you go. We'd love to see you there. And Kamala, we see you, and we will get you set up with our Northern California wing leader as well. David, yes, service animals are allowed, although we do ask that you check with the patient or passenger in advance to make sure that they don't have any allergies or fear of animals. And if you're talking about if this passenger can bring one, we do allow them to bring them. And of course, it's up to the pilot whether they want to accept that or not. Planes do not need to be owned. We have a lot of renters. But the funding does come from the pilot. So all of the pilots who fly missions for Angel Flight West fund, their own costs of their own aircraft or their rental aircraft. There's all sorts of FARs that don't allow you to get compensated or take any money for flying a mission. Pacific. Dan, sorry about that. Pacific time zone. I am, Alexander, I'm going to refer that question to our safety team. And we will get back to you, not just refer it to them. Someone will get back to you with an answer. Sorry about that. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Kerry, thank you. Your presentation was great. And as I mentioned to you earlier, I am absolutely stealing your email template that you send to your passengers. I think it's a great one and can really help put people at ease, especially for those when it's their first mission.
Great.
Peter, we will get back to you on that one as well. We are currently in the process of starting a new program where we're trying to get more people involved in the non-pilot, non-flying roles. So myself or David or somebody will reach out to you and explain to you what some of those might be. All right, everybody. Jess, will you hang back? Kerry, can you hang back 1 minute?
Sure.
All right, to everybody else, thank you so much for attending. We know your family time and evening time is valuable, and we appreciate your presence here. And we will talk to you soon. See you on April 16th, I hope.